The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
You're listening to the Alldus podcast ServiceNow series. Our guests today are Peter Oneppo and Juan Antonio Villagomez. Peter is the CEO and co-founder, and Juan Antonio is the Director of Engineering at Serenity. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Peter.
Guys, lots to cover, but I want to start as always with yourselves. If you could give us a brief introduction of each of your backgrounds in technology and what led you to working together at Serenity. Peter, I'll come to you first as you're the CEO and co-founder. So if you could just share your story a little bit, and then Juan Antonio, come to you shortly thereafter.
I'm Peter Oneppo. I previously worked at ServiceNow way back in kind of the beginning, not the very beginning, but 2009 in the operations department. My previous experience before that was mainly around sort of IT and helping to run small IT departments. And I very quickly fell in love with the ServiceNow platform. And I was in the operations department, and I wanted to try to figure out how to leverage the platform some more. I actually got partnered up with a company called Fruition Partners, but it was great to be able to get to work with customers, solve their problems. That eventually led to me working with my friend Chris at a company that he started called Intreis. And I was super early on there. We focused very heavily on GRC on the ServiceNow platform. So it's governance, risk, and compliance. I think it's now effectively called integrated risk management. That company was actually acquired by ServiceNow to help build that product out a lot further. And so I returned back to ServiceNow. I got onto the ServiceNow's future product team called NowX and got a chance to look at what was emerging, what problems we could solve with the platform, how we could do more for customers in more spaces. And that was very rewarding. But after a while, I got the startup itch again. And I was talking with Chris. We had both been at ServiceNow for a while, and we're trying to figure out what was next for us. And so we decided to leave ServiceNow, but stay in the ecosystem and build a solution that was fully built on top of the platform. And that's how we landed on doing a Serenity EHS.
Love that story. Great transition from being part of the ecosystem to then creating a business sitting within the ecosystem, serving it. Juan Antonio, talk to us a little bit about your story and what led you to joining Serenity.
So Juan Antonio Villagomez, I'm the Director of Engineering at Serenity. I oversee all development and engineering at the company. I've been at Serenity for a little over 2 years, going on 2.5 years. Previous to that, I was actually also on the future products team at ServiceNow. That's where I met Peter. Peter was actually part of the team that helped interview me when I first joined ServiceNow. And surprisingly, his questions were a lot tougher than everybody else's in that interview. And he left an impression on me. So when I heard he went and started a new company, I was very interested. On that future products team, we worked on several solutions a year, several different solutions a year. So 2 to 3 ideas we'd take from ideation to production. That was really fun. We got to push the platform to its limits. There started to be, just like Peter, a startup itch. I started thinking I'd really like to start my own company one day. The best way for me to learn how to do that is to go join a small startup. And when Peter reached out and said that they had an opening and that they were going to double down, triple down on user experience and expand that in their products, I thought it was a perfect fit.
So I want to come back to yourself, Peter, just to add a little bit more color and context into your go-to-market strategy for Serenity, and then taking that to helping us visualize some recent examples of customer use cases. If you could just help us see the vision and then translate that through to maybe a recent customer example, that would be great.
Going back a bit, when we were working at Intreis, actually throughout all my roles, right? I think even my very first ever project when I was at Fruition back in like 2012 was actually EHS related. And then with Intreis, because we're highly focused on compliance, GRC, EHS came up. It wasn't the only thing that came up, but we had a lot of customers who were saying, hey, we've got all of our employees on this platform. They're able to do a lot, but what happens if an employee gets injured? What if they see something unsafe? They're already able to say, I need help with my laptop. Why can't I just go send them to one place? They can start the EHS process there. And so that's when we're looking at starting Serenity, we're like, why don't we just be the EHS solution right alongside of all these other solutions on the ServiceNow platform? And at the time, ServiceNow had already done ITSM, security. They had obviously customer service, HR service delivery. So it slots in really nicely as that additional product that you can just install, configure, and then of course it's on ServiceNow, so you can customize. And so that allowed us to take what we had learned from Fruition, ServiceNow, and Trace that was EHS specific and apply it to this application, get it out into the market. And our first strategy was, Chris and I had both been in the ServiceNow ecosystem for a long time. Our original strategy was, let's treat this just like we're this additional ServiceNow BU. We can put our app in the store. It can get certified. You get the trust from the customers that it works well. And so we've done that. We have several applications now actually in the store. They're highly focused on protecting people and helping organizations take their EHS strategy from being very sort of Excel-based or a legacy point solution or several legacy point solution based process, and that's incredibly reactive, and move it to a much more proactive solution, right? How do we make sure things are safe before people even start work, right? Things like that. And then that's worked pretty well for us. Traction, I think, when we were at Intreis, we were able to work very closely with ServiceNow sales reps, but ServiceNow was a much smaller organization at the time. Now there's so much that ServiceNow sales reps can do for their customers that we're a small piece of that. It's a bit of the tail wagging the dog. And so we have worked very hard to go directly to customers, get them excited about our solution, and then engage with ServiceNow. And one of the byproducts of that is we actually have the ability to let customers come sign up and use our software. We actually have our own ServiceNow environment. We call this Ascend, and our applications are there. They're ready to go. People can actually just go sign up and use them. And so that's allowed us to go directly to EHS professionals who aren't normally targeted by kind of the traditional ServiceNow sales motions, get them excited about our solution. They can actually try it. If they don't have ServiceNow, or if they can't get the resources from their IT team, they can just stay on Ascend and just use it. But if they want, they can then go work with their IT team to download our app and drop it on the store. And this has been incredibly successful for getting the word out. One example of a customer that has been pretty successful, this is more the traditional enterprise story, but we actually signed Rivian as a customer, and they've been able to move away. I think their solution, their story is a little bit more of the legacy point solutions. They had a bunch of applications that kind of did one thing. They were a little older. Some of them were okay. Some of them, I think, were cumbersome for them to use. And they've been able to start their process of consolidating that down onto just the Serenity application. So they are an enterprise customer. They have ServiceNow. Our app is installed on their instance, and they wanted a much better user experience. I think Juan Antonio mentioned that was a big focus of ours. So our UX is really strong. We have our integrations with artificial intelligence. These were all things that I think they're very excited about growing with us, or we can grow with them as well. And it's just a testament to the platform, right? We're able to do so much with this platform. We're able to support a very large customer like Rivian because we don't need to have the infrastructure team, the operations team that you would expect from being able to host a large cloud application. We get all that from ServiceNow, plus we get all of the kind of development capabilities that you get with the platform. So it allows us to really focus on delivering the specific value to our customers, in this case, specifically Rivian, that they care about. And all the other stuff just comes along with that.
Peter, thank you so much for that. And Rivian, obviously, an incredible example of a major organization utilizing Serenity to great effect. Juan Antonio, coming back to you, as the director of the engineering group, you've obviously played a pivotal role in creating the current iteration of the product. When you look ahead, near-term roadmap, where do you see the future direction of the product going and evolving as ServiceNow evolves, as the customer needs evolves, and taking into account the tremendous opportunity to leverage components of AI? What are you looking towards over the next 1 to 2 years for future product developments?
The easy answer here could be, or an exciting answer here can be, that we'd expand into maybe adjacent products or adjacent markets. I do believe that a big focus of ours in the near term and long term will be continuing to double down really on making our products easier to adopt, easier to configure for the customer, to require as little, if any, training at all. Our current product suite has already come a long way from what our competitors offer, from what our customers were using before adopting our solutions. While we have come a long way, I think there's still a lot we can do to continue improving our current product suite, whether it's risk assessments, whether it's safety inspections, health and safety incident management. I think there's a lot of work we can still do there. So I know one of the hotter things right now is AI. Our primary focus is going to remain on how do we continue taking some of the burden off of EHS teams? How do we continue driving up workplace safety, workplace compliance? If AI can help us achieve that, then AI will continue to be one of those things that we expand in our current product suite. AI is one of the many things I think we can continue expanding on to drive that result, that outcome. It can be continuing improvements in the UI and improvements in the UX overall. That's kind of what we see near term, long term.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Peter, we were just speaking to Juan Antonio about what's next for the product. I want to come to you and talk about what you're looking forward to for the near-term roadmap, particularly with the announcement of funding. So when you look at the near-term roadmap, what are you excited about? What's next?
Like you mentioned, we actually raised our Series A funding last year, towards the end, I think it was September. We went out to the markets to raise that capital so we really could focus in on executing a lot of the things I think Juan Antonio was talking about, right? There's a lot of stuff that we are already doing for our customers, but we want to do more. One of the stories that we keep hearing is how do we do more on one platform, right? How do we consolidate from multiple legacy applications to something new and modern? And while we can offer a lot for our customers right now, having this extra capital gives us the ability to be a lot more aggressive about those timelines and do more for the customer more rapidly. The outcomes that we see from that are going to be definitely a deeper AI story. We're going to continue to focus on user experience. A lot of what we want to do for customers is pre-build things that might normally be customized. So in the EHS world, there's a lot of different ways of doing similar things, right? It depends on the industry, depends on what you want to do. So investigating why something went wrong in your organization, there's several different methodologies for that. We already support a couple of them, but we have customers who will build out new versions of that. And of course, that makes it potentially a little bit more difficult to upgrade and whatnot in the future. So how do we take what we're seeing our customers do and put it in the product and make it more of a configuration option so that they can get the benefit much more quickly, so that they don't have to worry about upgrades? There's a bunch of stuff like that that's on our roadmap, but it also allows us to go out and build new experiences. Some of the things that we're looking at are like in the EHS world, there's industrial hygiene and occupational health. Those are two things that we can support in kind of a lightweight manner now, but we really want to go a lot deeper and bring a lot more value to our customers in those areas. That's definitely something we want to be able to do over the next couple of years, and this funding sets us up for that.
Yeah, exciting times. So with that funding, obviously you plan to build more, and Juan Antonio, that will fall back into your lap and your team. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the team that you currently oversee, the culture and the environment, and what makes it a unique place to work. So, can you help maybe give us a bit of a look behind the scenes of what it's like to be part of the engineering and development team at Serenity?
I think the best way to describe it is it's an all hands on deck culture. Team members working across multiple different disciplines, people wearing multiple hats. It's very rare that somebody is confined to their very specific title or role. You're going to be asked to contribute anywhere you can, which is a benefit also, right? If you're an engineer, you're not going to be waiting for a sheet with specs on it down to the exact pixels you're going to use on a CSS declaration. You'll be asked to contribute to design, implementation, and even product strategy. That's something that all of our engineers partake in. So it's an all hands on deck culture, highly collaborative across really all members on the team, and by the team I'm referring to really all of Serenity. Because we do get to use the ServiceNow platform, a lot of the decision making that maybe at other companies or other development teams goes very deep into the weeds on the technical end. We really get to focus on the product end. So we spend a lot more time focusing on the specific customer ask or pain point and figuring out ways to smoothen that out, and really trusting that the ServiceNow platform is going to offer us the capability to smoothen that out on the technical side. I would say, yeah, all hands on deck culture, highly collaborative, innovative, and just really relentless on customer and user experience.
I love that. Final question from me to you, Peter. You've obviously built an amazing company utilizing your own experience within the ServiceNow platform and grown Serenity to where it is today. When you're speaking to candidates, potential future employees of Serenity, what is it that you tell them about Serenity, its mission, its environment, its impact that gets them excited enough to join you guys over some of the other great companies also trying to hire the same talent?
Relatively speaking, I mean, the pool's gotten significantly larger since even we started this company, but there's a lot of really good talent, but there's also a lot of organizations that are out there trying to acquire that talent. And so it is a challenge. I think for us, there's a ton that we can offer. A lot of the stuff that like Juan Antonio mentioned, right? If you're looking for a little bit more of a startup environment, I think it creates a lot of opportunities to do things that you might not be able to do anywhere else. So you can stick with your core competency. We have both a development organization and a professional services arm so that we can implement our own software. And it allows us to do things like you can be that more traditional technical consultant or traditional developer, but you can also color way outside the lines, gain a lot of experience that maybe you wouldn't get anywhere else. You're contributing in a very meaningful way to both the organization and the product. And I think from like a culture perspective, it's super important to us that people have a good work-life balance. We are 100% remote. We actually started out as 100% remote. We founded the company in 2020, and of course, COVID hit. So it worked out really well for us from that perspective. There were obviously a lot of challenges around COVID, and there's a lot of negative there. But the one positive that we got from that was by being 100% remote, we were able to offer flexibility to employees. But one of the other challenges you face with that is how do you keep everybody engaged and learn from each other? And so we try to do things like, obviously we have the team meetings and whatnot, but we also have a culture that gets excited about virtual happy hours. They're obviously not mandatory, but they're very well attended. I think a lot of people enjoy each other's company, and we try to not talk about work for an hour and share other experiences, learn about each other. We have employees throughout North America, so the international side also makes it potentially difficult to meet up in person, but I think the virtual experience definitely helps a lot. It gives us the opportunity to provide things to our employees that maybe other companies can't.
Peter, Juan Antonio, thank you both so much for coming on today and talking to us. I'm delighted we finally got you both on the show, and it didn't disappoint. Great insight into the origin story of Serenity, what you've built, how you're adapting the offering, and most importantly, the exciting road ahead, recent funding, growth, and tremendous opportunity for people to join you all. So we wish you, the team, and everyone at Serenity the very best luck in the year ahead, and look forward to having you back on the show again in the near future.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks,
we really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.